The Spider-Man costume in Spider-Man Brand New Day is perfect. If I wasn't so biased towards the Raimi suit, I would say that this is probably the best Spider-Man suit ever, because it is pure, unapologetic comic book Spider-Man, while also honoring Spidey's film history with big nods to Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire's suits. Well, really more Andrew Garfield anyway. Guess Peter 1 had a preference. Gosh, Peter 2, if only you wore the good mask. Unfortunately, though, the villain costumes from what we've seen so far don't follow the same trend. Keep in mind, this is only 3 of the villains that are going to be in the film. We already know that Tombstone is going to be the film, and he's not included here. But we do have our first look at the official artwork of the villains in this movie, and they just look kind of dull to me. They are, at least to some extent, comic accurate. They are immediately recognizable as the characters that they're supposed to be, which is more than can be said for some of the villains in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. But it feels like the thought process behind these villain designs was really, really short, so I'm not going to keep you waiting any longer. Let's start with what I consider to be the least egregious, and that is Boomerang. Boomerang is, of course, kind of a Z-lister Spider-Man villain, so don't expect him to be like the main big bad or anything. But I would say he's got, by quite a margin, the best design of the 3 here. It is, of course, immediately recognizable, all the colors are correct, the visor looks good, nice to see that they've really given him a comic book accurate appearance. My problem with this is that little harness that he's got over his chest obscuring his logo. I get that it kind of looks like Boomerang's, but the logo on his chest already looked kind of like a boomerang. We didn't need to add more boomerangs to his design, because now the readability's kind of squished. Imagine how good this suit would actually look if it didn't have that there. There's definitely the possibility that he may take this off in the film and just have the suit underneath, so I'm reserving full judgment, and I do want to stress, I'm fully reserving the main judgment of the final looks for the final film, of course. This could change. They have changed the look from kind of more the spandexy look of the comics to combats, which is kind of common for the MCU to do, and I think that angle works fine. I don't actually mind how they kind of interpret the materials as long as it makes sense for the character. With Boomerang, they're onto a winner here. I just don't understand why they decided to obscure the logo. Continuing on, going from least egregious to most egregious, the next design is Scorpion, and this one is really disappointing. Scorpion's live-action debut has been a really long time coming, so I was hoping that they would have cooked up something really special for Scorpion. And what's sad is that Scorpion's design in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, kind of an alternate MCU Spider-Man, was really cool. The armor was a little more minimal, but you could tell it was absolutely microwaving his flesh underneath, and I loved that. The hockey mask as well was such an inspired way of evoking that classic Scorpion design. And there are many different ways that you can communicate the Scorpion's character. This sells the point and kind of resembles the Scorpion's classic look, but that's probably the absolute best thing I can say about this design. The only thing that makes this Scorpion is the big tail, and I think making it kind of like 3 columns was kind of neat, makes it different from Doc Ock's arms. But as far as the armor goes, it's about as generic as it gets. And there are definitely more ways that they could make this design interesting than this. You can see there's a jumpsuit, and you can see there's some hydraulic armor over the top, and that's really it. It's green, like classic Scorpion was, so that's kind of cool. People will be quick to point out how big Michael Mando's head looks in this image, but I'm pretty sure the picture of this artwork has been taken from like a high angle. There is a masked version, and again, it's just more of the same, really. Could it be worse? Yes, it could be so much worse. We've had worse in Spider-Man movies before. But it feels like the thought process behind this was exactly the same as the thought process that goes into a lot of other MCU designs. You take the source material and say, make it a tactical military thing, and then boom. Spider-Man Homecoming's Vulture design definitely had a similar design philosophy to Scorpion here, but the difference with Vulture was that they added other iconography to the design, such as the leather jacket with the furry neck piece. Take the tail off of Scorpion here, and he could look like anyone. They could have made his helmet look more like an actual scorpion or something like that. Have kind of a built-in mandible kind of look to it. The suit could have looked more like a proper little exoskeleton. This is just a literal approach to the character, and it's just kind of dull. But then we come to what I consider to be the most egregious of the bunch, and that is Tarantula. Once again, the comic accuracy is certainly there. You can tell who this is supposed to be. But this is just so flimsy because we've seen this design mentality a million times before. You took the spider on his chest and turned it into a bulletproof vest with 8 straps. Star. Well done. How long did it take you to come up with that one? Once again, take that kind of spandexy design and turn it into combats. It just strikes me as really unimaginative. Is it really outside the realm of possibility that there are villains out there that might just be interested in having costumes of their own to confront costumed vigilantes? If Peter Parker can wear a costume like this, then why can't Anton Miguel Rodriguez? Hell, the spider legs on his classic design seem to wrap around the entire costume, forming the dark stripes on his legs. I don't think it does that here. I mean, for one, it's not a spider. Why would a character that goes by Tarantula not wear a costume with a spider on it? It's just the same old, same old. Take classic character design, reinterpret it into some kind of combat outfit, add knee pads, and just have it share the same general color scheme. Like everything people accuse the MCU Wolverine suit of doing, this suit is absolutely guilty of it. It just compromises the design's readability. I'm not saying these costumes need to be one-to-one. Again, comic accuracy really isn't the problem here. It's just that the way these designs have been interpreted is so been there, done that at this point, that when I'm showing these villains, all I can really say is, so? So, those are the villain designs we have so far for Spider-Man Brand New Day. Is it gonna ruin the movie? Of course not. That is not what I'm saying at all. But it's just like, when you've got the Spider-Man suit looking that good, it's kind of unfortunate that the villains look this... Yeah, whatever. I do think it's cool that we are getting these villains in this movie, though. Spider-Man versus the Scorpion in live action is well overdue. And from the sounds of things, this movie is going to have a lot of villains showing up. I doubt all of these are going to be showing up to any significant capacity. But what do you guys think? If you're happy with these designs, that's awesome. What you don't need to do is turn that into an insult to anyone that doesn't. I am by no means being unfriendly here, and I don't even know why I have to say this. But sound off in the comments below. Are these fine for you, or would you prefer something else? I wouldn't say these are outright bad, just dull. Now, where would I be without the generosity of my trusty patrons? We're going to start with a shout out for the patrons in the $10 and above tiers. We have Just Another Evil Robot Clone Seeking Revenge, Xander Wolf, Ghostly Phantom, Twilord, KB, Sad Goku, Dare Denny, Kale Bennett. If I had more space, I'd explain that. It's taken me way too long to update this. And Mr. SP, Sirius the Skeptic, and Biotin. And now, on to the patrons in the $5 and above tier. We've got Joseph Tribble, Press Play to Jason, Gideon Wells, Basic Content, Ben Raven, Reese Burns, Manalza, Goat Cannon, Silver, Josh Strider, Grant Allen, Marv Animation, Cho Henshin, RT0, Carlex, SSS06, and Vera Wild. Thank you, good folks, so much for your generosity. The video's now over. Get out.